This is Terms of Reference podcast number 174.
Bhungroo injected the water into the soil so that in the monsoon it will be free from the waterlogged area, so they could grow the crop. And in the winter and summer, the same water which is stored into the soil, they lift it out, pumped it out, and they use for the irrigation purpose. Now they are able to take a crop, at least 2 crops in a year.
This is Terms of Reference. I'm your host, Stephen Laddick. One of the things I love most about hosting this podcast is the sheer range of ideas, aspirations, and impact I've been lucky enough to listen to over the past 3 years. In some cases, we've talked about a digital future that can only just now begin to see coming into shape. And in others, extremely practical, how did we solve this problem today with nuts, bolts, and duct tape, and of course, everything in between. Today's show is one of those nuts and bolts conversations. For the 174th Terms of Reference podcast, I speak with Trupti Jain of Naireeta Services about Bhungroo, a unique application of aquifer storage and recovery processes for stormwater management that enables farmers to convert challenges like floodwater and waterlogging in monsoon and drought in summer into lifelong food security, rural livelihood, and climate change mitigation opportunities. I think you're going to enjoy this frank conversation about a service that has literally transformed the potential of the agriculture sector in India, Ghana, and elsewhere, and more importantly, the lives of thousands of farmers. We also discuss Trupti's journey as a woman in our sector and how that has helped to shape who she's become. I spoke with Trupti in India. But before we get started, a quick word from our sponsor.
The Terms of Reference podcast is sponsored by International Solutions Group, helping to improve the social impact of governments, UN agencies, NGOs, and companies for more than 10 years. Visit ISG online at www.theisg.com.
Hello, Trupti. Thank you so much for being on the Terms of Reference podcast today.
Hi, thank you.
Trupti, you work for an organization called Naireeta Services. You have an innovation that we're wanting to talk about called Bhungroo. Why don't we start off by you telling us what Naireeta Services is all about and the type of work that you do?
Okay. First, I will talk about our innovation Bhungroo, because that is the major reason for which we have established Naireeta Services to promote this Bhungroo. So, Bhungroo idea came when we were working in the field of the northern Gujarat, where the drought conditions and erratic rain is very high. It is a semi-arid region. So, they want the solutions which solves the both problems. One is waterlogging, and second is providing the water for the irrigation in lean season. So Bhungroo was invented by the Viplav and the farmers after the 6-7 years of the process. And after the invention of it, we came to know that nearly 5 million farmers alone in India, 8 states, and 640 million hectares land of all over the globe is waiting for this kind of innovation. So to scale it up on a large scale, we have established this Naireeta Services Social Enterprise in 2011. And since then, we are working we have completed one project in Ghana. We are working right now in India, Bangladesh, and Vietnam. And we are also working in 8 states of India.
That's excellent. So agriculture water problem. You mentioned waterlogging, you mentioned drought seasons. So take me through Bhungroo. Like, what exactly is it that either the technology or the process does in order to address these problems?
Okay, I will explain you that the Metan village of our Patan districts, where we were working to educate them, improving the drinking water quality. But the problem is that the most of the poor farmers has a small land holding size, less than 1 acre of the land, and which is affected by the salinity problems due to the desertification. It is located in the India-Pakistan border, and where the Kutch desert area is there. So in the monsoon, there are the only 2 to 4 days rain period was there. And at that time, their farms were waterlogged for the more than 15 days or 1 month because of the soil compositions or soil depositions on the surface, and that's why the water could not percolate into the soil. So they could not grow the crops in the monsoon season. And the rest of the 2 seasons, we have the 3 seasons over there: monsoon, winter, and summer. Winter and summer, they don't have the irrigation facilities because they have the small land holding size. Ideally, in all of the 3 seasons, they could not grow the crop, and ultimately they have agricultural labor into the rich farmers farm, where there is the big farm is there, where the borewell facilities is there. So they are working as a labor. So they told us to provide some solutions which gives them the formal status rather than this labor. So we have invented to this Bhungroo. What it's doing, Bhungroo is injecting the water, the surface water, while it accumulated in the monsoon season on the soil into the soil. So Bhungroo injected the water into the soil so that in the monsoon, free from the waterlogged area, so they could grow the crop. And in the winter and summer, the same water which is stored into the soil, they lift it out, pumped it out, and they use as for the irrigation purpose. So they could not take the crop in the single crop in a year. Now they are able to take a crop, at least 2 crops in a year. And so this is life-changing, innovation for them. It's not just increase their income 3-4 times, but their farmer, self-employed status, they have taken back.
So yeah, in many cases, it sounds like you've literally doubled crop production and maybe even more than that.
Yeah, it depends on the soil percolation capacities, soil water storage capacities. So many areas we have found that they could able to take the 3.5 crops in a year.
3.5. Holy cow. So
Yes.
Going back to, I'd like to try to get an image, like a picture of what the extent of the work is in order to be able to both capture and then inject the water, right? Because, is it as simple as digging a hole and, creating an aquifer, like creating a plastic aquifer where the water goes? Is there something more complex about that? And then what does the injection process look like?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I just try to that our major major component of this technology is a cylindrical pipe. And in Gujarat, our area, the cylindrical pipe known as the Bhungri. So people called it as a Bhungroo because of its cylindrical pipe structures, which you can see only these structures on the surface area. Rest of the structures is into the soil. This is a slightly complex technology. It is not a very simple technology as we sound. It depends on the soil capturing capacities, which requires the geohydrological survey to know that how much water can be stored in the soil strata. And also we know how does it mix with the groundwater recharge. Otherwise, we will lose the water. We could not store it. So we are using earth as a tank. So that conditions and the water capacities we need to know. Second is the filtration component is very important component in our structures. Otherwise, this will choke the pipe. What we are doing, we just filter the water first, which is stored on the ground, which is not percolated, and eventually it will be evaporated. So what we are doing, we first filter the water, then inject this water into this cylindrical pipe, which is perforated pipe, which we are injected into the soil. So the water will go into this pipe and then stored in the different stratas of the soil, depending on their geohydrological capacities and components. So we inject, for example, 5 lakhs water in the first stratas, which is located into the 40 feet to 100 feet. Then the second strata will be the 200 feet deeper. So then we inject the rest of the water into that strata or something like that. So basically through the perforated pipe, we are doing that one. And lifting is very simple process. That is just, we are using the mechanical pump for the lifting of the water.
And I appreciate the complexity behind this. Has this technology and this process, you said you've been promoting it since 2011, I believe is what you said at the beginning. Has this been around for a long time and it's just been waiting for the funding to get it off the ground? Have you, been doing pilots for a long time and now you're trying to scale? Take me through, what was the process for actually getting it in place and proving the concept?
Okay. So first I told that the demand is emerged from the community, They said we want the solution and we took the challenge and we helped them to find this solution. Although we were not, educational capable of finding the solution, but we have just one objective to help them. And once we have decided that, I think the whole universe will had supported us. I mean, we got the help from the different kind of persons in a different way, which we have never know, but the hydrologists and the institutions, IIM, IIT, and their experts. And I mean, so after the 6-7 years of the piloting at the ground, we could invent nearly different designs for the different soil. Now the things are that it emerged from the community. We need not to do the marketing at all. People are waiting for it, and this is a problem solving. So mouth to mouth publicity has supported us a lot. Second thing is that we in 2007 we won the World Marketplace Award, and at that time we came that this is an innovation. We have started this process to help the community, but we don't know that this is the innovation kind of applications. So we came to know this is innovation, and then came across with the national level institutions and the global level food and agriculture organization and other peoples, and then we came to know that these innovations has a lots of demand not only in India but across the globe. So marketing is never a problem for us to scale, but to scaling it up, it's a challenge for us, being an institutional challenge rather than a technical challenge. We got the grant supports from the various institutions, started from the World Bank to the now the USAID, the Securing Water for Food programs, and we also got awarded from the Millennium Alliance Award, and has been recognized by the Cartier too. So yeah, we got so much support from the different global international organizations, and also we got the invitations from the rich farmers too. But we are believing in the Gandhian philosophy. In Gujarat, the Mahatma Gandhi, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi's birthplace here, and we follow the Gandhian principles. So first had the poorest poor. So we are just to run our organization, make it financially sustainable. We are taking the orders from the rich farmers. But our major goal is to first support the poor farmers with the grant support and other CSR supports.
How much does it cost to put in the Bhungroo system? Do you have a per hectare or per acre cost?
Yeah, we have this. Actually, it has the one capital cost in Bhungroo. Then after there is no maintenance cost and nothing, and which run for at least for 15 years period of the time. So this capital cost has been recovered within 2.5 years time by the farmers. That's our average estimates. It has the 4 component in our cost. One is Reiki survey, one is geohydrological survey, third is the installation of the Bhungroo, and fourth is the filtration chambers, formation of filtration chamber. So this 4 component cost, if you want to install in a one place on a one unit, it costs too high. I mean, it's cost $9,000 to $10,000 per unit. But if it's on the large scales, and depending on the geohydrological areas, I mean, if the 100 units in the one area only, then cost is very, very, very low. I mean, it's 30 to 40% cost cut down.
And so does that lend itself to your community approach? Because you can't, a small whole farmer wouldn't afford this, but a community could afford it, and then you're contributing to everyone? Am I getting that correct?
Yeah, we are always not giving even the poorest poor farmers, we are not giving them the free. But as you know that they cannot give the money on the cash, we can take the contribution in the kind. So yeah, they are contributing in terms of the labor, in terms of their time and etc. But still, to support the poorest poor farmer, we need the outsider supports.
What was your stake in this, way back when you, Beeplop and yourself were looking at the problem and designing the solution? Were you a farmer? Is this something that's, either with you or with your family? Or, why was this the problem for you to solve?
Oh, no. I just want to tell that these innovations came accident. I mean, we have never thought. We were working both me and Viplo are the development workers. Since right from the beginning of my career being an environmental engineer, I focused on the environmental issues. And while I was working in the rural area, I found that women are the most vulnerable of the climate change impact. And then also the women are the major contributions in the sustainable development. So I was really starting from the beginning, I'm inclined with the women environmental related issues. While Wiplo has started the work as a development work in this area, I mean in the rural area in 1997 to 1998, which is the semi-arid region and is located near to India-Pakistan border. So I told you that we were working in the beginning is promoting that education activities, formation of the savings and credit groups within the community, and make them aware about the improving the drinking water quality, etc., etc. But community was suffering from the different kind of problems. As I explained earlier, they have the major problem is livelihood, because although they were holding a land, although which is a very small size, but they could not cultivate it and it is uncultivable, and that's why they have to work as a laborer in the rich farmers. So they came to us and they said, why don't you find these solutions? But we don't have this background of any educational background, so we didn't take the challenge initially. But after 2001, the Gujarat was affected with the very devastated earthquake. And after the earthquake, the rural communities have lost their other livelihood options too. At that time, we have decided to took this challenge to find it out in the solution for their problem. So communities identify their problems. We just help them facilitate it and then make sure. So after the 7 to 8 years of the trial and error, we came with these innovations, which is now perfect, for this kind of community.
I love the fact that the story has such a long arc, right? Often we are told stories about innovations, and they're in these accelerators or these quick starts and these sprints, where you're supposed to be developing an innovation, in a week or a month or 6 months. But your story really is one of almost decades, isn't it?
Yeah, it's decades, and it is also coming from the marketing community needs only. So we don't have to be now there's so much time. Like the other startup and accelerators, they are finding their product, they are reaching the customers after the developing the product, that how it will help them. So here is almost all the reverse process we have done, and now almost all the market is ready for us. And it's a challenge for us how we can scale up on the larger scale.
I'm also glad that you brought up the issue of women in agriculture. I know that you've been a recipient of the Women's Initiative Award, specifically related to women in agriculture. Is there any, you explained to us about how women are the primary breadwinners and whatnot, or the workers. How has your initiative chosen to try to empower those women in those communities?
Oh, I love these questions because till now we have just concentrated on our innovations. But I love these questions because for the two reasons. Because in agriculture sectors, women conditions is very, very poor. And that is also the challenge we have taken up. Not only the invention of the Bhungroo, but how we can empower the women farmers at the grassroots levels. Let me explain first that in India, what is the status of the women farmers? Almost all the activities done by the women in the agricultural areas, as per the one figure, is more than 86% activities, and still her work is not recognized, not only on the monetary terms, but also in terms of the knowledge recognitions. They learn this, and they are in these agriculture sectors since years and years, from one generation to the second generation to the third generation. So they have the immense knowledge on these agriculture sectors, and which is not recognized yet. Second thing is that like household activities, this is also unpaid activity for them. This is also not recognized by the monetary terms. So what we have decided after this innovation, that Bhungroo is capable of taking care of the catchment area of 5 acres of land. And one farmer has less than 1 acre of land, poor farmers, because we are working with them. So there is a need of grouping of the farmers. This because the one unit can be capable of serving the 5 farmers' land. So while it comes of the grouping of the farmers, at the time, if the men are owning these innovations, then it will be a problem of the distribution of water. And particularly the community where we are working, they are very, very, they will not let go the single drop of the water others. So it will create a problem in future. So we decided that we will give the ownership of the Bhungroo to the women farmers. Let's see. First, the distribution of the water problems will be managed by the women group very wisely. That's we have the confidence because we have already working with that women since couples of the years. And second, that they don't have any recognition in agriculture sector till date. And if the Bhungroo rights is given to them, and they don't have any properties, less than 2% of the women have the land on their own name. So although they are contributing a lot in the agriculture sectors, they don't have this any property rights to it. If the water rights we are giving them, without the water, land is not cultivable. So if we decided that with the water rights we given to them, then it really makes the difference. And then we have given these Bhungroo rights, the Bhungroo ownership to the group of women farmers. And I tell you that this is the innovations which we like to most rather than the technology innovations, because it works out, magically. And the Bhungroo rights is empower the women a lot. Not only they have participating in the local village politics, but they have done this work. Technology correction, technology adoptions, and all the things very, very wisely. So it's changed it leads the empowerment of the women groups on a large scale.
That's a fantastic story. I love that you have connected land rights and land ownership, and you've completely subverted that process with the ownership of water rights and technology. That's inspiring. What's been a challenge with that? Have you received pushback? Has the community challenged you on distributing this to the women in the agriculture groups, or has it been a fairly smooth sail?
Oh, it is challenging a lot. The first challenge in the Bhungroo innovation, the challenge was that our technological capacity, But in the second part, which I called as a strategic innovation, and that challenge it's a lot, because till date, it's a patriarchal societies. They have not recognized the women role in the agriculture sector. So there is lots of obstacles comes from the women only. No, we cannot take the leadership. How can we will do this one? And then, something. And if we took the ownership of the Bhungroo, what will our men will say to us? They will beaten us at the home once you will go, or something like that. So to changing the social pattern is really, really very, very challenging. But we could do it over here only. This is not we able to do it in other areas, because in this area we have the lots of presence and we have the community acceptance for the decades. So they have accepted us. We have the rapport with these women groups. We make the men folk and them understand. And also the land is not cultivable. And if it's this one Bhungroo will come, then it will become the cultivable. So that men folks also recognize that, till date we have not lost anything, so let them try. So as a per chance or opportunities, they are also ready. So this the whole changing of the social patterns is a really very, very challenging task. I can tell you that I had worked with the development sectors and promoted the government, promoted government institutions for more than a decade. I ran a campaign which was given the land rights to the women for nearly 5 years with the help of 80 NGOs, and we could not, changing that patterns at all. Because even if this land is not cultivable, it's a prestige issues for the men that no, they are owning this land. So it's a social to raise the voice against the social pattern. It is a very difficult task. Rather than the adoption of the technology is a very easy task.
Sure. So you just said that your ability to scale is limited to the area you're working in, but I heard you earlier say as well that your marketing service is looking globally, that there's a need for this type of technology globally. How do you put those two together so that you have the same community presence in other parts of the world?
Yeah, it's a very good question, Stephen, and still we are struggling with it, So I don't have the very clear-cut answers, but I can tell you about what is the status right now. At the global level, there is the technology requirement is a very high, and we cannot, if it's technology is not in the hand of the women, and we cannot stop that one, because that is also unethical, to support the poor farmers. And on the second hand, to empower the women and to get in all over the globe. This is the India situation I'm telling you, that they don't have the property rights. But while traveling to the global level, it is the more or less the women conditions in the farming sector is. So there is a need of the women at the global level too. But it requires lots of efforts and energy to put into, its social process is not like that 1 + 1, it becomes 2 at the 1 week of time or the 15 days of time. It requires, so what we are doing like that. we are developing the partners about the local existence NGO. And if it's local existing NGO or local existing farms or local existing company, then if they are working with the women farmers, they have already rapport with the women farmers, then we are giving them the first preference to provide our technology and then have the MOU and some things. And then they will take up this process on that scale so that it becomes a sustainable. So in Bangladesh, we are working with this partnership model. We are also working in Vietnam with the Oxfam with this partnership model. And so the partners will make it sustainable. But sometimes the many partners are not ready to work with the women organization, or we could not approach these partners and something. So at that time, we are just have this partnership in terms of the knowledge sharing of the Bhungroo. So for example, in Ghana, we have this kind of partnerships. So we are always looking for the partnerships, but which are ready to work with the women empowerment, but very, very less organizations and partnership opportunity we could get till date.
Trupti, I have only two more questions for you. These are the same two questions I end every interview with here on the Terms of Reference podcast. And the first one is, how do you stay up to date? How do you make sure that you are, always learning about, the latest and greatest in water technology or the things that interest you or about community empowerment? Do you have blogs you read? Do you have Twitter feeds you follow? Do you have magazines that you read? What's your way for staying up to date?
That is the one challenge about staying in these like-minded people or the people who are working in these sectors with them. So networking of these kind of people, it's helped me a lot to get me updated. That is the one thing. So like my Viplav is Asoka fellow. He's a lots of friend from the Asoka. I have the Cartier networking, then Commonwealth networks. I'm the lead fellow also, leadership in environment development, and then the partners who was working with the securing water for food. So we are always getting in touch with this kind of the people who are really working in this field. And so we get updated by knowing their experiences, learnings, not only technological aspects, but they're learning on social aspects, they're learning on institutional aspects, they're learning on human resource aspects. And that's why we get updated. I'm reading and I'm aware of some websites and other things, but I'm telling you that I most get updated through this kind of people only.
The last question I have for you is, you've devoted your life to Bhungroo and this particular process and not only spreading the word, but, empowering communities. Is there another innovation, either a process or a technology or something that you are really passionate about that has nothing to do with, the work that you do every day that you'd like the rest of the world to know about?
No, I don't have any kind of secret mission with me. But we are always upgrading ourselves that how this Bhungroo works in other geographical regions. We know that Bhungroo is absolutely working for where is the salinity problems, where is the flood situations, where is the drought. But for example, in hilly areas, so how Bhungroo will support the hilly areas, because lots of people are coming to us for asking the help. So we are finding the new designs or new avenues for the Bhungroo itself. And I'm telling you that it has the lots of scopes for this technology only. So yet we are not thinking about other innovations and other ideas. So we are just stick to these ideas, how we can make it more efficiency in other geographical region too.
Trupti, thank you so much for taking the time today to speak with us. I really appreciate the conversation, and I really wish you, all the luck in continuing to spread the word about Bhungroo.
And thank you, Stephen, for giving me these opportunities.
Hey guys, if you are finding value in these conversations with Trupti and others about how we innovate in the social sector, give us a rating on iTunes. And, if you can, share this podcast with your friends, Send it out on Facebook, send it out on Twitter. You can just email the link to them. And if you have any questions, again, hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, or on the blog page. And you can always send me a message at steven@aidpreneur.com. Thank you. You've been listening to the Terms of Reference podcast from aidpreneur.com. Subscribe to us on iTunes.